Hello, everybody. This is Chris, and this is my channel, Barn on 11970. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to what I say, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this sometime in the future. I appreciate that. Now, before I start talking about what I want to talk about, I want to wait a minute or two while people are basically understanding that I'm making a live show, because I kind of do these spur of the moment. If anybody wants to ask questions, you'd have to do it not on my YouTube page. You'd have to follow me on my Google Plus page. So if you have a Google Plus page, go to my Google Plus page, and you will see the live video broadcasting there on the Google Plus. If you follow me there, it makes it a lot easier. But if you click on that video, you'll see the ability to where you can ask questions. So if you want to do that, again, you have to be on my Google Plus page. So follow me. It makes it a lot easier. So I want to talk about this. And as you can see by the title of this, talking about being a sexist and a racist, the new corporate agenda. Now, those of you who've been following my channel for a little while know that for a while I kind of not stopped completely here, but I dramatically slowed down because I was getting a little stressed out and went back to something I loved as a child, which was comic books. And of all the things I could have went into, a lot of people say, why comics? Well, I've already talked about that. I mean, talking about the fact that they are good investments when you know what you're doing. And I was collecting comics for a long time, so I know all the key issues and things like that. But I've definitely said that all things happen for a reason. And it's amazing some of the things I've talked about. And you notice this day and age, a lot of things are turning feminine, which, that's fine. But I've always talked about how politicians, corporations, the agenda, they kind of put things in mainstream media to the point where it seems so regular that you just don't notice that they're pushing an agenda. And that's why, even in the comic book world, even if you're not following it, I'm sure some of you know who Thor is. Well, Thor is a woman now. I'm sure you know about the Ghostbusters movie, that they're all women now. The latest thing is the fact that Iron Man, now the name of the character is Iron Man. He's been around since around 1963. The person that was Iron Man since 1963 has been a gentleman named Tony Stark. I'm sure if you've seen the Avengers movies, you're very well aware of what Tony Stark looks like. Well, they've now changed Iron Man into a 15-year-old African-American woman. And instead of the creators, who are not really creating anything original, understanding that people for generations, I mean, your father probably read Iron Man. Your grandfather probably knows who Iron Man is. Instead of then understanding, wow, that's a dramatic change, people are going to have a little bit of lashback, what people like Brian Michael Bendis is saying, and he's the writer, is that if you don't like the change, then you're a racist. That to me makes no sense. I mean, just imagine if all of a sudden Wonder Woman is now a man. You don't think there would be thousands of people upset with that? Does that mean they're sexist? The reverse sexism? I highly doubt it. You're used to something being a certain way, that you are going to have a natural reaction to it. And to say that it's things like racism is just pathetically weak and sad. Now, with the sexist part, if you've been following what's going on with the new Ghostbusters, they've been focusing, and director Paul Feig has admitted that they're trying to, quote-unquote, ruin men's childhoods. And they're using sexism, that instead of the fact that that movie should have never been made again, even with an all-male cast or an all-male or male and female cast, because that's a classic that should not have been touched. It's way too early to have done it. I don't even think they should have made Ghostbusters 2. So it has nothing to do with the cast. It's Ghostbusters was such a classic that it's one of the movies that shouldn't be touched. There are certain movies they should never make again. Back to the Future is another one. They should never touch that. But because this is the world of reboots, eventually that's going to happen. They're going to ruin that one as well. But despite the fact that that movie should not have been made, despite the fact that if you watch all of the trailers, they're not funny. They're stealing all the ideas from the original movie, all the way from the library scene, where now the ghost vomits. So, Nickelodeon fans will love that, the green slime. Slimer is in it. The giant marshmallow man is in it. I mean, there's nothing original. What they're doing is saying, oh, you don't like it? You must hate women. You're a sexist. So this is the new corporate agenda. They're trying to get people to really think that be careful of your freedom of speech. You're not allowed to have an opinion. And if you differ from what people are trying to sell you, then now you're going to be a racist. You're going to be a sexist. Next, you'll be a terrorist. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when people do not stand up. And I'll tell you something. I'm very glad I decided to get out of the comic book community of the videos with some of the childish stuff I had to deal with. Because look at the things that are happening. I'm not regretting it one bit. You can't just change characters and expect there not to be a backlash. Not because somebody's sexist or racist. It's because they're used to something being the way it was. And like I said, this character's name is Iron Man. Now, if they wanted to have a hero for African American women, I can understand that. Why couldn't they create a new character or create Iron Woman? Why is there... See, my thing is, I really think as far as the sexism is concerned, they're trying to get everybody to become almost one gender. Like, it's almost like taboo now to be a man or be a woman. Like, because they're showing every movie. Like, even if you look at the trailers of the Ghostbusters movie. I mean, the original Ghostbusters, I mean, the guys were kind of geeky. They were afraid. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have a lot of confidence. But in the new Ghostbusters movies, they're doing matrix backflip kicks. That's not reality. I mean, unless you're a black belt in karate or study gymnastics, the average person is not going to be doing a Matrix-style slow-motion back kick with a supposedly heavy backpack on their back. And they're trying to make all women tough. You know what? I don't want to date a tough woman. It's just, to me, it's not feminine. And what's wrong with being feminine? And it's the point now where it's almost like every man, it's almost you have to apologize for being masculine or being what you were brought up to be. Now, I am all for diversity. But when they throw it down your throat and they make you say that, oh, if you don't like something, it's not because of the bad writing or the unoriginal writing. It's because you're a sexist or a racist. They're trying to create an agenda of silencing freedom of speech. And you notice it's corporations that are doing this. Because Disney owns Marvel. And yes, my advertisements, I actually have a partnership. Now, the partnership wasn't originally with Disney, but Disney took it over. And because I have a contract, I can't get out of it until the end of this year. It's a 2-year contract. But make no mistake, I marked it on my calendar. Sometime at the beginning of December, I have to request a release. I'm going to. And you have Sony Pictures running the Ghostbusters. And I made a video several months ago, almost maybe a year ago at this point, talking about how all this agenda with the female characters coming out. I mean, they're talking about a new female prime minister over in Great Britain. I've talked about how Hillary Clinton is going to be voted into office. Well, votes not counted, selected into office. They've already said way back when, and they're programming people to think that you have to have women with authority. Now, I like I said, I don't have a problem with women wanting to defend themselves or fight or be strong. That's perfectly fine. But not every woman is that way, just like not every man is like Conan. Not every man should walk around looking like a 300-pound muscle-bound person. There's supposed to be diversity, and they're trying to get everybody to be the same. They want to feminize men and masculinate women. So we can all become one unnoticeable person. And people are following the trends, because if you look at some of the clothes that they're trying to push out, the men's clothes are starting to get more and more feminine, and the women's clothes are getting more and more masculine. It's all about sales. That's what it all boils down to. Because the Ghostbusters movie, for example, people are going to see it now because they don't want to be labeled racist. I'm sorry, sexist. So does that mean now you have to buy something that they say? Because if you don't, then there's something wrong with you instead of having your own frame of mind, your own thought process, your own opinion. Why does it have to be labeled to that point? And the fear that people have that they're so worried about saying anything keeps channels like mine from growing. and others from being created because they're afraid to say something, because heaven forbid. Let me tell you something. The two of the best women in my life are my mother and my wife. I have no problem with women. I've had all different types of friends, whether they're gay or straight, black or white, Chinese. To me, they're just human beings. I don't understand all this stuff. If I don't like somebody, it's not because of the color of their skin. It's because of their attitude and if they're a good or bad person. So I'm not going to pick up this new Iron Man comic. And it has nothing to do with the fact of being a racist. It's the fact that I don't like these changes just to make headlines so they can make sales, because it's controversial, because they can't come up with anything original. So they come up with, oh, we've had Iron Man, let's turn him into a woman. You know what? Let's turn him into a black woman. We'll still call him Iron Man, which makes no sense. And even though people have been following that comic, and it's been only one character that's been Iron Man, basically, since 1963, oh, if anybody complains about it, we'll call him a racist. We'll get sales. This will cause controversy, because look, we're talking about it. There is no bad press. What I'm trying to do is wake people up from this garbage agenda that they're trying to push. They're trying to silence people by labeling you. Because if you have an opinion that's different from what people are trying to sell you, then there must be something wrong with you. You're not allowed to have your own opinion. You're not allowed to make logical arguments. We'll just call the race card and the sexist card. And I keep telling people, if we don't stand up, if we don't say something, this is going to be more and more the routine. I've warned people for years, and look how crazy it's getting now. I mean, the average person is going to start noticing it. And by the time the average person really starts to get it, it'll be too late at that point. So, you know, if you want to watch the Ghostbusters movie, for example, because you thought it was a great idea and you thought it's time, then go watch it. I will not put one dime into either comic or that movie. You know, it's one of the reasons, and so many people are starting to get out of the comic book community because of these things, because it's lazy writing. That's what it boils down to. It's they have no original ideas, so they need to make sales. So what better sale is starting a controversy? And there's all this negativity of being labeled a sexist and a racist. So I guess if you don't like the new Iron Woman, you're both. You're a racist and a sexist. What happens if the government talks about something that you don't agree with? Does that make you now a terrorist because you don't agree with their policy? This is all an attack on freedom of speech and individuality. They want to condition people to basically be mindless, sexist robots, to the point where you won't be able to tell if somebody's a man or a woman. There's supposed to be the yin and the yang. There's supposed to be the positive and the negative. One cannot survive with without the other. This is clearly what an agenda is all about. This is not paranoid. This is not tinfoil hat crazy talk. It's reality. If you want to grow up and have your children grow up in a world that you're not allowed to have a difference of opinion than what the corporations and the politicians are selling you, otherwise you're labeled as a sexist, racist, terrorist, who knows what other is they create. It's just amazing. And Russell Hall asked a question, why could Marvel make an Iron Woman, they a Spider-Woman? I'm not sure what you mean. You'd have to redo your question. I'm not sure what that means. And speaking of Spider-Women, I mean, like, for example, they created a Spider-Woman. Now they have several. They have Spider-Gwen. They have Silk. And they have the original Spider-Woman. So they didn't take Peter Parker and turn him into a woman. And they created another Spider-Man. Actually, according to the universe, the Marvel universe, that there's an unlimited, because of fractals. They're actually trying to teach you these things through comic books and movies. That's why you see things like Doctor Strange and all these other movies. They're talking about, you know, alternative dimensions and parallel universes and things like that. They're trying to teach people quantum physics and fractal science. But Russell, if you could repeat the question, rewrite it, I'll be able to answer it. But I mean, like I said, this is going to make them sales. And if you want to be one of those people that buys something to follow a trend because you think that's going to be worth money, I mean, just last month, right before I left the comic book community, they were saying that Captain America, the name Captain America says it's a symbol for America, was actually a Hydra agent since the day he was created, which basically slaps the face of everybody, because Captain America was supposed to be, a representative of America. And that's almost like saying, oh, George Washington, he was really a Nazi the whole time. It angers people. But it was to make sales, and many people bought that book saying, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. Well, you know what? I could probably make a lot of money on that book, but there are certain things I don't want to make money on. And I didn't buy in that issue. And I'm really glad now that I'm seeing that I'm getting out. But Russell Hall rewrote the question. Let me see what he wrote. He said, they have had Spider-Gwen Silk, so they made new characters. Yeah, that's my point. And exactly. They made new characters. So they could have done that with Iron Man, made Iron Woman, or some other faction. The fact that they just replaced it, oh, by the way, it's a woman now. No, black woman. But I guess if I say the word black woman, I guess that's makes me a racist. Saying a word has nothing to do with hatred unless I use the word hate in that word. I mean, what are we going to do at this point? Be afraid to say anything for fear of being judged by people? And this is what happens when you get the sleeping masses. They're the ones that are going to follow on board. And now, if you have any opinion other than what they say, they're going to call you a sexist, a racist, whatever. And what if you go to a person, say, let's say a woman's walking down the street with a stroller, and you see a baby, and you say, oh, what a beautiful baby. What are they now going to call you, a child molester? We laugh about this, but look where we're headed. This is incredible. And if people don't start making changes, I mean, like I said, I've been warning people for years. This is ridiculous. To some, it may seem like, oh, it's not really a big deal. It's just a character. You're right about that, but it's a character that influences people. How many people's lives have been inspired based on movies or comic books or TV shows or sports heroes? I mean, let's be in reality here. Most people do what celebrities and famous people do, not what your parents do. Art imitates life, and it is a form of art. Whether it's everybody's form of art is irrelevant. So I'm not going to make this a very long video. I mean, people really need to start understanding what propaganda and agendas are all about. If you want to start living in a world where you have to be very careful about what you say, and how every person has to be unisex, because God forbid you have, or heaven forbid you have, or Allah forbid you have, I don't want to be considered a religious hater or something if I don't mention every religion. If you don't have an opinion that's the same as theirs, now you're going to be labeled something for it, instead of having a logical explanation, or drawing your own conclusion, or having your own perspective, or having your own freedom to not like something just because you just don't care for it. Does that mean now when somebody, you have a barbecue or something and somebody brings something that you don't like, you have to eat it? Otherwise, there's something wrong with you? Say, oh, what do you mean you don't want to eat my, peanut butter and egg salad that I made? What's wrong with you? How dare you not eat it? I made it. You have to eat it. Now we have another question. Let me just select that really quick. Russell Hall says, again, Captain America 2 says Red Skull used the cosmic cube to make him think he was Hydra, his lazy writing. There you go. So what they did was, and people knew this all along, it's a way to make sales, controversy. What they're saying is, hi, we can't come up with something original. I know what. Let's make something so controversial that everybody will talk about it. That will create sales, and then we'll just say, aha, just kidding. Stupid people. So I agree. It's very lazy writing. But how many people lined up to buy Captain America #1, thinking they're going to make lots of money on that book? I guarantee you, the first day it came out, they were selling for like $15, $20. Go look now. You'll probably be able to buy them for $5 or $6. A fool and their money are soon parted. And people want to criticize me about my gold and silver for long term. Comic books, once they're pretty much devalued, good luck trying to sell it. So, again, it's a clear agenda at this point. Obviously the people that are here get it. But we need to really wake up the masses, because this is just ridiculous. I mean, like I said, there's supposed to be the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative. There's a reason why women are a certain way. There's a reason why men are supposed to be a certain way. We complement each other. Turning them all the same, if that's the world you want to live in, you know, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. So if you want to leave your comments, you know I always love it. Let's hear your opinions. Keep them clean and respectful. You don't have to agree. You don't even have to like it. But just remember, there's no gun to your head that made you come here. You came here on your own free will. So if you don't agree, teach us, educate us, show us your intelligence and your intellectual ability. Not just say you're stupid, you're dumb, I hate you, whatever. Let's see what kind of way we can actually communicate like human beings. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing what new little scam they're going to get you to buy their tickets and buy their products. Gotta love it.